Hey everyone, back this week with Short and Sweet. I'm actually really excited for this week's recipe. I know I had a chocolate craving last week, but it kind of extended into this week. But it's a different chocolate. So this time we're actually going to do white chocolate brownies. I know a lot of people have probably not played around with white chocolate blondies, and so I'm really excited and really hope that you guys like these. These are actually my mom's favorite dessert that I've made, and then also my mother-in-law's now favorite dessert. So I'm really excited, and I actually did have the opportunity to find really good raspberries this week. So I know this is actually going to come out really good. And on top of it, I finally found my 8x10 pan that I couldn't find last week. It was hidden. I don't know. I was a little blind. But yeah, so we're going to get started today with a couple of ingredients. It's not too many, and hopefully not too hard to find during the quarantine. We have 3 eggs. We have a little bit of granulated sugar. You can also use superfine sugar if you don't want the little granular taste in your brownies. For this one, because we're using melted butter and melted chocolate, it should actually get rid of all of those granules from regular sugar, so it's totally fine to use in this recipe. We also have a little bit of vanilla extract, all-purpose flour, baking powder, and lots of white chocolate. And I like to use a combination of both like a white chocolate bar and then also these white chocolate chips. And they sell them at any grocery store. It's literally like your semi-sweet chocolate, it's just white chocolate chips. And I like these better because I feel like you don't actually have to cut an actual chocolate bar into pieces, but I think they just also get better distributed throughout your brownie. So that's why I like using these. And then also about 1.5 cups of raspberries, but that's honestly as many as you want. I like to just put a whole bunch because I love the tartness, how it cuts through the sweetness of white chocolate. All right. So we're gonna get started. Again, I'm really excited, so I'm totally gonna just jump into these as soon as they're done. So the first thing we're gonna do is actually whisk our eggs. So this time, I already did my arm workout. I'm a little tired, so I'm actually gonna use my electric mixer, but you can just use your hand. Just use a whisk, or you can use your stand mixer. Again, I'm just really tired from my workout today, so I'm using an electric mixer because I'm a little lazy today. And we're just going to mix until they're basically frothy, so not for too long. And I did have these on room temperature, so I did leave them out for about 15 minutes before starting this recipe, so they are a little bit easier to froth up than if you're using cold eggs. If you forgot to take them out, again, totally fine. Just keep going. It might just take a little bit longer to get them frothy. So see, not very long. You can see all the froth on top of the bowl. And then the next things we're gonna add are the sugar. There you go. And then also the vanilla extract. Perfect. And then we're gonna just mix it until it's sort of the consistency of a mousse. So make sure that we're whipping up a lot of air in here so that way they're really nice and fluffy. And again, same thing, if you forgot to take them out, it just might take a little bit longer to get them mousse-like, but you'll get there, trust me. Okay. Honestly, the best thing about these is that you can really play around with the toppings. So some people like to put vanilla ice cream on them. I honestly just love the tartness of the raspberries. So I actually make a raspberry sauce on top of adding the raspberries and add that on top once it's done, and oh my god, it's so good. And you don't feel as guilty because it's like you have a lot of fruit. At least that's what I tell myself. Okay, so we're getting close. See, they're getting really light. I'm going to cheat and put them with just a little bit more. They're starting starting to see that it's getting really, really thick, so we're getting there. We're almost there, I promise. All right. So I know I have been having a couple of questions about how to alter these recipes for people who don't eat eggs or people who want to do sort of like gluten-free. If you don't have eggs, don't worry about it. My suggestion is you can either use mashed bananas or even applesauce. The egg is really more of a binding agent. I'm just used to baking with eggs. They're easy, they're accessible. I don't think I've ever had applesauce in my closet, so that's why I don't tend to use it. But if you really wanted to make this and don't use eggs, you can either use an egg substitute, which might be the easiest one to find, or you can do a banana or the applesauce, and it'll honestly turn out just as moist, just as tender and fluffy. Just make sure that you do beat it up before so you don't have those banana chunks in here, and make sure you do it with the sugar so that way you really start incorporating a lot of that air from the beginning. Okay. Now the next thing we're going to do is actually add the melted butter with the melted chocolate. And this, like last week, you can either do over a double broiler, so meaning you have water on a pot, you have this glass bowl laying on top, and you're waiting for your white chocolate to really melt. You can also do it in the microwave. It's just a little bit trickier because a lot of people tend to overcook the chocolate because it looks like it hasn't melted yet. And so if you overpass that specific heat, then it just kind of turns into rock. So if you're confident in your microwave skills, then just do it in 20-30-second intervals, no more than a minute and a half. And trust me, just as soon as you start mixing that hot butter with that chocolate, it will melt it down. And so that's basically what you do here. You can see the butter's really on top and the chocolate has gone to the bottom. So I'm just gonna give it a quick mix. You do want it to be cooled down. You don't want it to be super, super hot. This makes it easy because you don't have to wait for any butter to, soften. You just, whenever you're craving it, just stick it in the microwave with your white chocolate and boom, you have butter, chocolate goodness to make those brownies. All right, just gonna pour that in here. I know a lot of people honestly don't love white chocolate, and usually it's because it's too sweet, and I agree. I'm not that big of a fan of white chocolate either. But with raspberries, I'm telling you, it will change your mind because the tartness of the raspberries and the freshness just makes this so, so good. And we're just gonna give it a quick mix just until it's incorporated, so nothing crazy. You'll start to see that it really starts to get thicker, especially with that white chocolate. I'm telling you, if you don't love these brownies, I don't know what to tell you. They're so good. They're just such a fan favorite. I have been making these brownies for at least 10 years now, and I have not had a single person tell me that this is not their new favorite brownie recipe because they're just that good. All right, the next thing we're gonna do is we're just gonna combine a little bit of flour with some baking powder. Just gonna throw that in there. I'm just gonna whisk it. Make sure we get rid of any clumps. Again, if you have a tiny sifter, you could just put this directly into the mix. But I still have not bought my own sifter, so I have to dirty another bowl, whisk it, and pay for it later. All right. Perfect. And this, again, is such an easy recipe. You don't have to do it in thirds or anything like that like we've done in the past with our other recipes. You just throw it in there, which is great. All right. Then we're just gonna mix slowly until it's well incorporated. We're almost there. Honestly, the best thing about brownies is it's so hard to mess up. Like with cakes, you don't want to, overbeat your dough. You don't want to add things all at once, like this flour. You want to do it sort of like the wet, the dry ingredients. And brownies are just so much forgiving. So honestly, it's a good place to start if you've never baked before. And if you just don't like regular chocolate or want something different, this is a great recipe to try out. And the best thing is, if you have kids, it's a nice way to get them to eat fruit. All right. Beautiful. So leave that there. We have 2 more ingredients to add here. So we have those white chocolate chips. And as I mentioned, you can either use a white chocolate chip bar, chop it into pieces like the size of your pinky's fingernail, or you can cheat like me and just use chocolate chips. So you're gonna throw those in there. We're just gonna give it a little bit of a stir with our spatula, make sure they're all incorporated within the batter, because we want every single bite to have a piece of chocolate in there. All right. You'll see the batter is like still thick, not as thick as our dark chocolate batter, but it's still really relatively thick and fluffy. And I'm telling you, when these come out, I'll be surprised if there's any by tomorrow. Just can't tell my doctor that. All right, perfect. So as I mentioned, we are using an 8x10 pan this time. Finally found it. Lined it with some parchment paper, lightly greased it. If you don't have one, a 9x9 or even an 8x8 pan is totally fine. You're just gonna have to leave it there a little bit longer. The blondies take a little bit longer to actually cook all the way through. So just keep an eye on it after the 25 minutes. It should not take more than 35, even in the 9x9 pan. So just keep an eye on it. This will only take 25 minutes, okay? So we're just gonna pour the batter into the pan. Just doing some of the work on here because I told you I did an arm workout today and my arms are very, very sore. So I'm gonna struggle right now putting this into the pan. All right. Beautiful. This looks so good. Here we go. We're just gonna spread this out. Again, it's really thick, so it needs a little bit of help pushing it against the whole pan. If you love white chocolate, honestly, these brownies you're gonna love. It just smells so amazing. Not only does it have white chocolate throughout the batter, but then those white chocolate chunks. What more can you ask for? This makes Memorial Day weekend so much better. All right. Okay. All right, and then, as I said, I was able to find some very, very delicious organic raspberries at the store. So I'm really excited to be using these. And honestly, you just have to line them up on top, and you can do as many as you want. The recipe says 1.5 cups. I don't know exactly how much that is. I just honestly buy this really big crate of raspberries and I just start sort of sticking them on there. And because I'm a little bit of a neat freak, I think this is actually the part that takes the longest because I just love seeing them so beautifully like aligned in this brownie batter. And so I just honestly take forever making all of these rows of raspberries. And honestly, I don't leave any room. I put so many raspberries because it's seriously the best part. As soon as you bite into a raspberry with this, it just makes this brownie. So this may take a while, but it's so good. While I'm putting these raspberries into the brownies, I also had another question from people asking, how do I make this gluten-free? And it's honestly very, very simple. And these ingredients, I have seen them at the stores every time that I have gone. So it's not very hard to substitute. If you don't want to use regular flour, you can either use gluten-free flour Or you can use any other type of flour that you're usually used to using, and just make sure you add xanthan gum. And again, I have seen it at Whole Foods, at Safeway, at Lucky's this whole time. I just think a lot of people don't know what it's for, so it's always kind of available. So definitely utilize that, and that will really help to really substitute for the gluten that you're not using in the all-purpose flour. And honestly, it'll taste exactly the same. So if you haven't done any of these recipes because of that, you can definitely use that. And if you want precise measurements, let me know in the comments, but usually you can use the exact same amount of flour, and then you just have to put in about a tablespoon of that xanthan gum, and it'll be like the same thing. So you don't have to sacrifice any of these desserts that I make just because you can't have all-purpose flour or even egg. Again, for even the last week's brownies, if you use applesauce or bananas, you are really gonna have the exact same looking brownie, and it's gonna be just as delicious. So please, if there's anything else that you guys wanna look for as in for a substitute, let me know, and I will let you know what you can actually use. It gets a little trickier when you come to frostings for like cakes. I know we haven't done a cake yet, but I am thinking of doing a carrot cake pretty soon. Coming up with a substitute for cream cheese frosting is a little bit more time consuming, but we can definitely do it. There is lots of other coconut milk, a lot of other things that you can use. And if you have any other questions like that or any other dietary things, let me know. And we will definitely work through it, because I want you guys to all enjoy these desserts during this quarantine and after. All right, I think I don't have any more room. So now I'm gonna pop these into the oven for 25 minutes at 350 degrees. And again, if you have a smaller square pan, it'll probably take 30 to 35. So just keep an eye on it after 25 minutes, because you don't want these to burn. You're waiting for it to be like a nice golden brown on the top. Again, that one trick about the toothpick is not gonna work, just because brownies tend to be a little bit fudgy. So you won't get that. These are definitely not going to be as fudgy as the regular brownies. So if you do put it on the corner, it will come out clean, but the point is it has to be clean in the middle too. So just check it, make sure it's not burning, golden brown, it's ready to go. So I'm just going to pop these in the oven. So we're just gonna wait 25 minutes, and then we'll come back and hopefully they'll be ready to go. Hey everyone, so it's been about 25 minutes. I actually decided to leave it for an extra 5 just because I do like having those really crispy edges. And also, sadly, I'm giving half of this to my mom, and she likes it crispy too, so I left it for an extra 5 minutes. Again, it's up to you with your preferences. I do like a little bit of a crunch on my brownies, so that's why I left them for a little bit longer. But as you see, they're very beautiful and golden brown throughout the actual brownie. The raspberries look amazing, and we're just gonna take this out and eat it. So I did leave it for about 10-15 minutes just to cool down after I brought it out of the oven. It probably is too hot still, but I just can't wait anymore. So that's why we're cutting into it now. So, as you can see, they're just so beautiful. I'm just gonna cut a little piece so you guys can really see how delicious and moist these are. I'm like trying to see how big of a piece do I want. Like, do I want to be really bad today, or do I want to be a little good? Especially since I haven't had dinner. So we're gonna go in the middle. How about that? That sounds like a safe place, right? All right. They do sort of tear apart a little just because those raspberries do add a little bit of moisture on the top, but it should still stay together. This, again, this type of brownie is supposed to be a little bit less fudgy than the rest. All right. As you can probably see in the corner, my dog already smelled it, so she's already here. So you can see it looks absolutely delicious. You see the raspberry through there. You can probably catch right there a white chocolate chip, which is why I love these chocolate chips. It really gets distributed throughout that brownie. And I love you guys, but I'm going to take a bite into this because it is so, so good. So please, if you make this, send me your pictures. If you have any questions, also let me know in the comments. I really, really hope you guys enjoy this. Again, this is one of my favorite recipes. And sadly, I do have to share this with my mom, but I love her. So we are going to be splitting these brownies in half, which is probably going to make my doctor happy, but I'm just going to take one little itty bitty bite because it just looks so, so good, and it's nice and warm, and my husband hasn't come back with dinner, so he can't get mad at me right now. Oh, making a mess. These are so, so good. I really, really hope you guys like these. If you have any questions, let me know. If not, I will see you guys next week on the next episode of Short and Sweet. Bye, guys.